All these UGC ads you see on the screen right now took just 10 minutes to make, and this was only possible because of one AI agent. It has finally reached the point where it can do real creative work from start to finish. So this means you can now create UGC ads completely on autopilot. That's why in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it works and how to build the same system for yourself. So by the end, you'll know how to use one of the newest AI marketing workflows before it becomes mainstream. These are all ads generated by a single AI agent running the workflow back to back. And I'm not talking about just the scripts behind them. The agent literally took it from idea to finished ad. So instead of doing all these manually and moving things from one tool to another, I let the AI handle the whole process on its own. And just look at this creative.
You know what I used to hate most about making short form content? The captions. Typing them out, timing them, making them look good. Clipcast does all of that automatically.
It genuinely looks like something a real creator would film for a UGC video. The delivery feels natural, the lip sync is clean, and the motion is way more realistic than most AI videos people are used to seeing. But what I think is really impressive is that the hook actually feels tailored to the exact audience we're trying to reach. But for this system to run, you need two AI tools, Claude Cowork and ArcAds. Cowork is what gives Claude the ability to actually do things on your machine. This is the AI agent, so it can access files, interact with websites, and run multi-step tasks without you having to check every part of the process. So instead of you manually taking outputs from one tool and feeding them into the next one, Cowork handles that flow for you. Then on the other side, ArcAds is where the ad generation happens. This is the platform the agent connects to in order to turn the scripts into actual UGC style video ads. So Cowork handles the logic and execution, and ArcAds handles the production. So if you want to build this yourself, the first step is to make sure both of these are set up properly. To make this even easier for you, I've left links to both of them in the description below. So now let's start with Claude. Create an account, choose the Pro plan, and download the desktop app since Cowork runs there. Then go into settings and enable browser use so the agent can interact with tools like ArcAds. You'll also need an Anthropic API key, so generate one in the console and add around $10 to $20 in credits to get started. Then let's go ahead to ArcAds. Here you need to upgrade to the Pro plan, open the public API section in settings, and generate new credentials. Once both platforms are connected, the workflow is almost ready. But before the agent can actually run the workflow properly, it needs a place where everything is stored in one clean system. Because if your files are scattered across random folders, the agent is going to lose context fast and make way more mistakes. So the next step is to create a dedicated project folder inside Cowork. This is basically the workspace where the AI will keep all the files, instructions, scripts, and outputs for the entire workflow. For this, open Cowork and ask it to create the main folder along with the subfolders you need inside it. You can use the exact prompt I'll show on screen right here. Once it says it's done, I'd also recommend asking it to list the folder structure back to you just to confirm everything was created correctly. If it shows you all the subfolders, then you're good to move on. But if it doesn't, go back into the settings and make sure file access is fully enabled, because without that, the agent won't be able to actually work with your local files. Now, the first file you want to place inside that workspace is the .env file. This is where you store all the credentials you copied earlier from Claude and ArcAds, so the agent can securely use them later whenever it needs to run the workflow. To do that, type the prompt I'll show here and paste in your real credentials where needed. That part is important because if even one of those values is missing or wrong, the workflow can break later for reasons that are honestly pretty annoying to debug. Then after that, there's one more file you need to create, and this is easily the most important file in the whole setup. It's called claude.md, and you can think of it as the operating manual for the entire system. Every time you start a new Cowork session, the agent reads this file first before doing anything else. So instead of starting cold every single time, it already knows the structure of the workflow, the quality standards for the scripts, the production logic, and the ArcAds API details it needs to follow. In other words, this file is what keeps the workflow consistent across sessions. Without it, you'd have to keep re-explaining the same instructions again and again, and the outputs would be much less reliable. So make sure you paste in the exact prompt for this part as well. I'll also leave it in the description so you can copy it directly without having to manually rebuild it yourself. Once that's done, your workspace is basically organized and ready. But of course, even with all of that in place, the agent still needs one more thing before it can create good ads. It needs clear context about the actual product it's writing for. Because if the agent doesn't understand the product, the customer, or the offer, the output is going to feel generic very quickly. So before we run anything, we need to give it the information it needs to actually write good ads. And the good part is that this is much simpler than most people think. You do not need to build some giant market research document or spend hours writing a massive brand guide from scratch. You really just need to give the agent one solid product brief that explains the most important context clearly. For this, I'm going to use a template prompt that I'll also leave in the description below. But before you paste it in, you need to customize it based on your own product product and audience, otherwise the agent is just working with weak inputs. The brief is split into 6 main sections, and you can realistically fill them out in just a few minutes. The first part covers the basics, like the product name, what it does, how much it costs, and where people can actually buy it from. Then after that, you move into the customer side of it. So who the product is for, what they want, and what problem they're trying to solve. Now this next section is one of the most important parts in the entire brief, because this is where you explain how your customer actually thinks, talks, complains, and describes their frustrations in their own words. So what I like to do here is paste real customer messages, comments, or reviews whenever I can find them. That gives the agent much better language to work with, and it makes the scripts feel a lot more specific and believable. Then after that, you fill in what makes your product different, what kind of outcome you want from the ads, and whether you're speaking to a cold, warm, or retargeting audience. That part matters because the messaging should sound very different depending on how aware the viewer already is. Once all of that is filled in, you can also choose how many ads you want the system to generate and what type of ads you want it to focus on. For this example, I'm going to go with 20 ads so the agent can cover multiple hooks, angles, and audience awareness levels in the same batch. And once that brief is finished, the system finally has the context it needs to generate ads that actually feel targeted instead of generic. At that point, it's not just guessing anymore. It's writing from a defined strategy. Before we move on, there's one last thing we need to check. You want to make sure the brief is actually saved inside the project folder so Cowork can access it properly when it starts running the workflow. So for that, I'll use the prompt on screen right here to verify the file is in the correct place. And once that's confirmed, we're ready to actually run the agent. Cowork runs the whole workflow as a simple 4-step cycle. And this is where everything we just set up starts to pay off. So first, I'm going to give it the context it needs. And before it writes anything, it turns all of that into a clear plan for the batch of ads it's about to create. That way, I can quickly check if it understood the brief correctly. And if something feels off, I can fix it right there. Once the plan looks good, we move into step 2, which is writing the scripts. So I'll paste in this prompt. You can see it's now creating a full batch of scripts based on the strategy from the brief. But instead of just keeping the first version it comes up with, it generates multiple variations and saves only the strongest ones. Now let's move on to the third step and choose the UGC talking actors. So I'll write this prompt. Now we let the agent connect to our CADs, filter the available actors based on the audience we're targeting, and select the ones that best fit the ads it just created. And once that part is done, we give it the final generation prompt. The agent sends everything to our CADs, keeps checking the renders automatically, and waits for the finished videos to come back. So after that, you really do not need to manually do anything else. You can simply go enjoy your free time while the AI is doing all the heavy lifting for you. So these are the results we get after a few minutes. What you see right now is an entire folder full of UGC ads that are ready to go. So let's take a look at one and see if it's actually good or not.
Still editing your clips manually? I get it. I almost didn't try Clipcast either, but then I thought, what's the worst that can happen? It's free to start, so I tried it, and now I can't imagine going back.
This actually looks so realistic that the average person would genuinely think it's real if they saw it on their feed. The visual quality is really impressive thanks to our CADs, and also the script targets the exact audience I asked for. But here's the craziest part. As good as these ads already look, this system can get exponentially better in just a few steps, because once you have the first batch, you're no longer starting from zero. Now you have real creatives you can use to get real data and feedback from the niche. So the next step is simple. You take these ads, run them for 48 hours, and collect real performance data like CPM, CTR, and cost per result for each variation. Then you feed that information back into the AI agent. And once you do that, it stops generating based only on assumptions and starts improving based on what is actually working. So now the next batch becomes stronger. The agent will know which hook gets more attention, which script actually sells, and which talking actors are preferred by your niche. So the overall creatives become more effective because the system is learning from real results. And when you repeat that cycle a few times, the quality gets exponentially better. And that's exactly why this is so powerful. It's not just automating the work, it's creating a feedback loop that can compound over time. So if you want to create ads on autopilot, go sign up to ARCADS using the link in the description below and start building your agent. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.